Glad to have you back for another episode 4 of this avocado germination and growing series. Everything looks very healthy. With regards to the question I posed in the third episode, this plant is a dicot. It's supposed to have two cotyledons, but there's only one little leaf, which was formerly my favorite leaf, but nowadays it doesn't look that great. It's a very pale yellow-green. It's on the bottom. It hasn't grown any bigger. I don't know what the deal with that is. The morphology looks a little bit different from the rest of the leaves. Maybe the other cotyledon got knocked off or ripped off, or just didn't develop properly coming out of the soil. Seems very unlikely since I didn't cause any damage, but that was just a small point of curiosity. So there you go. Doesn't look too healthy. Stem is mostly yellowish with red dots. There are new leaves growing out, such as this one, and it's pale. They all start sort of reddish, then progress to yellow, then kind of a yellowish green. Although I'm not sure that this is what they're supposed to look like in the final stage. I think they should be broader, flatter, and a darker green. So this one is, I wouldn't say wrinkled, but they all kind of look like this. They're getting bigger. Leaf tip might have some slight yellowing to it. I wouldn't call that a problem or a burn or anything like that. The soil is kind of a dark brown in the surrounding area. I refuse to believe at this point that it hasn't dried out from the sun at this point. So maybe it just got discolored from all the fertilization and vitamin watering that I did. So let's take a look at the watering tray. There's a little bit of moisture down there. Not too much. I might have to fill that up pretty soon. And one of the newer leaves looks like this. It's not bad. I mean, it looks healthy, but it's sort of got that reddish yellowish tinge to it. And when they get bigger, all my leaves have looked like this. So I don't know if this is good or bad, but it looks a little bit not smooth. It just kind of pops out where the veins aren't. And so far I haven't seen any signs that this is unhealthy, but when you compare this to other people's avocado plants, maybe it looks a little bit different. Maybe my conditions and fertilization are different. So in any case, I'm going to add in some more vitamin watering. So it's time for some more fertilization. I'm going to apply some multivitamin. First I'll crush it with a pair of pliers. This pair is getting really rusty and it's not really that easy to operate, so it always makes a big mess. I think I'll get a new pair in the future, something that can aid the crushing of pills more easily, such as the aspirin pills and the multivitamin pills I've been crushing for plant supplementation. I'm also going to use a full dose of Miracle-Gro Singles conventional fertilizer containing the 3 plant macronutrients, nitrogen, phosphorus, and potassium. Fill it halfway full and shake around, swirl around the water in my watering pail, then top it off and do that again. It's not going to dissolve completely so quickly, but over time, just by sitting in the watering tray, which I have full most of the time now, it'll dissolve. So you can see bug corpses in there, fungus gnats, which will further fertilize the solution and also get rid of fungus gnats, which is great. It's day 82 and the leaves are quite droopy like this. And if I'm not mistaken, the leaves that are further away from the sun, pointed away, and get that acute angle of sun, that just kind of glances off the leaves at a very sharp angle. Those leaves look healthier and bigger and greener, while the leaves that are facing the sun don't look as good. Again, the soil seems to be stained a dark brown. That's not due to wetness because I'm not watering there anymore. Watering tray is still pretty full after 2 days, and you can see that disgusting mass of at least 3 or 4 fungus gnats hooked onto some dirt and dust and just swirling around in there. So it's obvious that they're still proliferating, but by watering in the bottom I've managed to drown a few of them. Leaves look okay, not super healthy, not unhealthy either. This one does look unhealthy, this thing that I've been calling or suspecting of being cotyledon. I don't know if it can come back from that. It's not a big loss if that leaf gets shed. And you can see another one developing, and the one that was all sort of reddish before is now a lot more yellow with a slight tinge of green in the middle. It's a lot longer too. Well, that's drooping too. So that suggests that the bottom watering, at times it seemed to have worked, but during the midday, mid-afternoon western sun, it's just brutal. The transpiration pull is too great, so that means the root system just can't uptake enough water fast enough to keep the turgor pressure in all of these plant cells rigid. That's why the leaves are all drooping. So, I'll think about this and see what I want to do. I'd like to spin around the pot at some point and see if that alters the leaf growth in the ones that are closer to the sun. But for now, I don't think the situation's that bad. So I'm just going to keep things as is. So I'm hoping the leaves just continue to get bigger, longer, wider, and greener as time goes on. It's only been a few days, and they are getting bigger and bigger, so I really don't have that much to complain about. And the stem is relatively short, I think. The only thing I can really do now to alleviate this is to spray water. I know it's not a long-term solution, but the water will keep the plant moist and reduce the transpiration. Everything should get perky again within a few minutes, or maybe half an hour, and it just kind of looks cool to have that rain effect aesthetically on the plant. So it's day 84. I'm going to enact my little mini experiment and just spin this pot around so that the 3 leaves that are small and yellower, as opposed to the 3 bigger leaves on the other side, I'll spin those around so they're facing away from the sun, and we'll see what happens over the next half week or whatever. Because I think there is something to the possibility that maybe the sunlight is just too brutal from the western side in the mid-afternoon, and I haven't looked it up yet, but maybe avocado seedlings don't like full sun. So if that's the case, we should see an immediate difference. These leaves should get greener and broader and longer, less wrinkly, and the 3 ones that are the biggest should, start to yellow. So 3 days later, it's day 87, and as you can see, it's not, really that conclusive. Leaves look a little bit healthier for the ones that were smaller and I spun away from the sun, and there's been a little bit of development in the red leaf at the top, so that's good. Seems like the plant is responding well to everything I do, and so far everything's going pretty well. So this leaf, my leaves are just really veiny and sort of translucent. I thought they'd be thicker, but maybe that's just because this plant is still very immature, and you still got the red dots and the yellowness on the stem. So the stem is short, and that's, in my mind, a good thing, because if it's too long and spindly, then it might just break from the wind. Some people's avocado plants are all stem, a very elongated, tall stem with not that many leaves or leaf surface area mass. That might mean it's not getting enough sun or nutrients. I don't know. Maybe it's just reaching and reaching for the sun and never getting enough. In my case, maybe it's getting too much sun. So as you can see, that cotyledon looks a little better than it did last episode. Although maybe it's just the angle. So there are little bits of black or brown matter on some of the leaves. And there's a thread of web there, which kind of worries me because it might be from spider mites. There's another one, or even 2 or 3. So that's pretty worrisome, but I've checked all the bottoms, undersides of these leaves, and I don't see any spider mites. So that's pretty reassuring. I have very sharp eyes, and with this macro footage zoomed in and magnified pretty significantly, If I'm not seeing anything right now, or any dumb spider mites crawling on the, the stems, then it's pretty much okay. Nothing on the petioles. So that might just be isolated incidents of tiny little spiders actually. Alright, so in conclusion, I've seen just a little bit of evidence over the course of 3 days from having spun the pot around that maybe this thing is getting too much sun. So we'll wait until next episode and stay tuned to see if there are any further problems and how I'm going to solve them.